Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next webinar of Strong Women in IT. Today, we are going to talk about career in corporation, how to achieve it, what's the best way to do it. So to discuss this matter, we invite great women, successful women, really hardworking women that know exactly what's important to achieve your career in corporation. So without further ado, please meet Izabela Sosnicka-Lipa from Roche. Please meet Alexandra Tessari, Poland, Head of Markets and Security Services Technology in HSBC, and Magdalena Kasiewicz, Customer Success Lead and Board Member at Microsoft Poland. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for finding time to talk with us and share your experience in working in corporation. Because half of our Strong Women in IT represents corporation, and they often ask us how to make it better, how to cooperate, how to grow their career. So I believe that after this webinar, they will exactly know how to think about planning their career. So Magda, can you start and tell us a few things, how your career started, how it happens that you work right now in Microsoft, and present a bit what exactly you are responsible for.
Yeah. So when I think about how my career started, it was when I was 7 years old and I started to write first my code, and I was interested in IT. So this was my career start. And of course, I think that career is just how we invest and what we are interested in all our lives. So it's not something that it's starting in some specific point. And I think all my decisions were made based on my aspiration and also what I want to learn. So as I mentioned, I started first with IT. I was very interested in math. Then I started to also, it was highly influenced by my father, who was in the IT industry. So I went naturally to IT studies, and naturally I started to work in IT. And I was working for 10 years as a freelancer on Polish market. So I was not working in corporation, and definitely this time I remember I was thinking I would never work to any corporation. I'm so happy being working as a freelancer. I have freedom. I can choose what I want to do. I can, really be in line with my values and take projects that are the most important and the most interesting for me. But then after a while, I realized that, first of all, I want to be a leader and I want to manage people, really work with them and help them to grow. I started to be more interested in being coaching, leadership. And the other thing which was super interesting for me is working in very diverse culture with different countries, different culture. So, being a freelancer on Polish market was not really option to grow in this area. So that time I decided, okay, I want to work for the company which is big, is international, and I need to work as a FTE, like really employee to be able to manage teams. So this was why I started. I work in first in one telecom and then later to Microsoft. So this was my main driver, working in the international environment and working with the diverse team.
So you look at working in corporation as a way to realize yourself in international environment, international clients, and running or leading your teams. Yeah.
Yes, and of course you can do it in different ways. You can have your own company, which you can really build your company based on diverse teams and international team as well. I think that this was just the easiest way to achieve what was important that time for me. And definitely this was the best way I see to achieve what I want. And definitely one of the good things about the big corporations is that you have a lot of different opportunities. So because the big corporations, they are in different countries and they have different line of business, then you can move from one place to another and you can plan your career and you have very different options in front of you. This is definitely something that it's really appreciate. I really appreciate in Microsoft.
Great, thank you. So, Alexandra, how was in your case, how your career started? Because I know you've mentioned before we went online that you'll never work for small companies, you just work for big corporations. So, tell us how it happens for you in your case.
Sure. So I studied engineering and computer science at university. And as part of my last year, I had to do an internship for 6 months. And I always knew that I wanted to work for a really big global organization. I knew that I wanted international opportunities for work, working with people of different cultures. So I naturally decided, well, big corporation. And I also wanted an interesting business domain. And banking and finance industry is a hugely interesting and complex business domain. So I applied for an internship at HSBC 16 years ago, and here I am still. I've lived in 4 different countries. I've done a whole bunch of different roles. I was a software developer for 7 years, working in Paris, New York, and then London, then moved into more tech project management, dev management roles. And now I moved to Poland 3 years ago to build out our equities technology department, part of the investment bank. And 2 years ago, I took over the head of the department here for basically all of the investment banking technology in Poland. And we're now 440 people. So it's been really interesting being very technical in my career the first few years, being more people leadership focused now, really enjoying both. And I think both career paths are possible in these big organizations.
I think it's quite interesting, you know. Yes, it's quite interesting because when you think about the career, and I think is that I was moved from country to country. This is the huge opportunity that you have. You bring the big corporation. Me also, I was living also in US. Now I'm back in Poland, but this is actually when you really want to travel, learn some other, culture. This is definitely possible.
But 16 years in one corporation, in one company.
I know, I'm a dinosaur.
No, I had something completely different in mind. Congratulations that they were able to give you so many challenges that you stay there, because I believe that your character is to to climb, to have different opportunities, to have different occasions to check your character, to check your knowledge, to check something completely new experience. So that's the goal, how to keep people longer in the organization, to give them challenges. I think that that they will let them grow. Yeah.
And in my case, I think it's a mix of both, sometimes being in the right place at the right time. There's an opportunity that came up, which I seized on. And sometimes it was me actively putting my hand up and seeking out a new role because I felt like I was ready for a new challenge. So when you work for such a big global organization, I mean, HSBC has something like 250,000 employees in the world, 70,000 people in technology, right? Think of how many internal mobility opportunities that means, right? So yeah, it's good to be able to use that.
Okay, so Isa, now is your turn, because you are in Malaysia right now. So you benefits from traveling and working in corporation, right?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I'm as well a dinosaur of the corporation. However, various corporation. I haven't been such long in one. So congratulations, Alexandra. I believe it's a big achievement to be such long in one company. So huge congratulations. So yes, greetings to all from Malaysia, because I'm based in Malaysia and right now living in Malaysia, working for Roche. And how I started the career. I think it's similar to Magda. a little bit, because I think that I started my career playing professionally handball. So a little bit different than working in the corporation, in some organization or startup and so on. But I believe this part of my life where I've been training professionally, it's shaped me in terms of the values which I do have, the things which I value, like, for example, teamwork, or because handball is about the teamwork, about the strategy, and it gives me some strategic thinking around. And as well, things in terms of looking how to improve yourself, how to overcome the challenges, how to help the teams which is around you. This is something which helped me later on in my later stage of the careers. So that's why for me it's still handball. I still dreaming about going for the Olympics. I will not win the gold medal. I think I'm a little bit too old for that. However, for sure, at some point of time, I will be at the Olympics Games and connect my starting of the career with some tourism itself.
Okay, so tell us more about Roche. How long have you been working there? What's your job there? What are you responsible for?
Yep. So overall, over my career, I'll be working in different companies and different corporation, those which is more focused on Poland, because I'm Polish. So I've been living in Poland for a while. So more local one, Poland only. And then I decided with a couple of I would say from those things which I grew up, for deciding to work in more international environment. And when the Roche came with a proposal to join the company, I thought, oh, this is a really great company where you can work for purpose. And the purpose is quite important here, because what we are doing is doing the medicines for our patients. And I have privately some history about the cancer in my family. And then right now in Roche, where we are producing the medicine for cancer patient, it's really connecting with those values which I do have in my private life. And I see the things, how much more we can do, how much things we can do to contribute to the health organizations, to the health ecosystem, and how our company and myself can help to drive it. And at Roche, actually, I'm changing the position right now, so I'm in the transition because starting of vacation, I will be heading the security testing and validation across the whole globe at Roche.
Wow, that's impressive. Congratulations.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, ladies, so let's deep dive into pros and cons of working in corporation. And later we'll go deeper in how to achieve success there. So we have a chance to work with global clients, move to different countries, change the world with the technology, have an opportunity to mix different cultures. What are other pros of working in corporation? Magda, what comes to your mind when you think about pros in working for Microsoft and other companies you work in?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, big corporation, they invest a lot in their employees. So I am very close to learn how they use their data to make decisions, and also I am definitely, they invest a lot in terms of how to be the leader, how to make decisions. Also, there is a reason why those companies are so the international are big, so definitely there is a lot of things that we can learn from them. And for me, very important thing is really about making decisions, how they make decisions, how they transform, and especially for Microsoft, who is huge corporation who made a big transformation over the last 7 years, really big transformation. being part of this, observing how they do the change management, how they make decisions, how they transition, it's something that probably I wouldn't learn anywhere. So change management, this is the other thing. I said working in the international company, as you mentioned, but I think this one thing, learning from the people who are managing so big companies and data-driven, making decision data-driven, it's something that that definitely is important for me.
Absolutely. You know, when I listen to what you said, the last 7 years after the Satya became a CEO, right?
Yes.
The huge change, you know, to the cloud, what he done, how he spread this information, you know, how to organize such a, you know, different headquarters, different offices, different groups. Whoa, I'm really jealous. I'm really jealous now, right now, that you'll be able to see.
Yes, and actually, yes, I was through all these years. Yes. In the company, so I could see how it was really changing, and it's not easy change. We are talking about huge amount of people. We are more than 100,000 people, so it's not something that you are just saying yes, let's change. And definitely the other thing, I had the opportunity to work in HQ in Redmond, and I had the opportunity to work with leadership there as well, and seeing them, how they work, and also how the product group works. So being in the root, it was really amazing experience for me. So definitely this is something that you know, learning experience, learning from people who are, and from the company who is so successful, is, I think, the one of the most important.
Yeah, I can totally relate how inspiring it can be. Yeah, and I'm really jealous that I haven't chance to see it from, you know, from inside, because I see from the outside and it looks really impressive. So maybe Alexandra, please tell me how they managed to keep you 16 years in one corporation, and what is the pros of it?
I've just had tremendous opportunities and support all these years. I just seized them and kept going and kept learning and kept being challenged. The pros of being a big organization, I think Magda touched on that a bit. You have a lot of access to resources and learning and development. You've got mentoring and coaching programs. You have this huge network of people that you can contact and use, right? And learn from. So that's really big. You've also got sometimes clunky, but big central functions, big global policies. That can be great to leverage when you're talking about diversity and inclusion policies, when you're talking about lots of different things for people. You've got employee assistance programs that are dedicated with funding, access to social funds for people who need financial assistance. There's a lot of structure there to help people and our staff, which I think is something big corporations can do, which is fantastic. And then also, because we're so big, you know, the budgets are on a scale that are crazy. So you have some really big, complex technology transformations and projects that are ongoing over multiple years. That's a lot of really interesting work for engineers and people working in change. So there's all of that is also great. And also, I think it's worth saying, another pro of working for a big corporation, HSBC was founded in 1865. That's like 160 years ago. We've been through how many economic crises and wars, and we're still standing, right? So there's relatively perhaps more long-term thinking, goals, and potentially job security as well. So those things I think are comforting. And then, lastly, I'd say you have a bit more flexibility of being able to gear up and gear down when you need to for your personal reasons or preferences. You can work a 4-day week and just work that out with your manager, right? You can take a sabbatical leave that's partially paid after a few years. You can, do a side job. You can take longer parental leave. There's a lot of flexibility to then gear up and get more, I take on new challenges when you have more time, when you're ready for it. So I like that flexibility of gearing up and gearing down. I'm not sure you can do that quite so flexibly, maybe when you're working for yourself as a freelancer. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've not worked as a freelancer, so maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. So Isa, how is it in your case? Because I remember that last time we talked, you talk about a huge management change in Roche. So tell us about the process of working and maybe just a little about this change you've just taken part of.
So I believe that Magda Alexandra summarized it well. So definitely working for the big global organization, the learning, the opportunities, database access for the whole knowledge itself, access to amazing experts around the globe. This is something which is definitely the beneficial. I would say I never work in the startups, so maybe this is something which we can discuss if this is a pros or not. But I believe that one thing which big organization is giving you as well, it's more being more on the expertise and going deeper with the expertise. Because being in the startup, you need to do everything. You need to do a little bit programming, a little bit marketing, a little bit, I don't know, PR, etc. And you are actually trying to do and manage everything. In the big organization, you can really go deep if you would like to, of course, go deep with your expertise, going deeper with your technical knowledge or, I don't know, finance knowledge or whatever area is you have the passion about. So this is something which I believe it's interesting as well to consider that if you would like to be an expert in some field, then definitely the big organization or big companies are giving this kind of opportunity. So this is one of the thing. When I ask external expert, which is my husband, about the pros of working in the corporation, he said, and just wanted to share with you as a little bit joke, he said that definitely free coffee or tea or owocowe czwartki, how we call it, so fruits during the Thursday or pizza for developers. So he said that this is the benefits, but I'm not sure if this is the only one. I believe that there is many more great things which big companies can offer.
Okay, so Isa, now your turn to start the cons of working in corporation, because I believe that there is another side of the coin, another way to look at this. Because you mentioned, that you can be an expert, but on the other hand, to some point it limits you because you do just the part of the work, so you don't exactly know how widely you can use this piece of work you've done. So you just like a puzzle in the whole picture. So you just this one puzzle, and maybe you don't have the access to the bird's view of this picture. That's how I see what you've said already, but I may be wrong. So tell me, what's the biggest challenge when you think about working in corporation?
So I would say, let me maybe disagree a little bit about it, because
Sure.
I believe being an expert, it doesn't mean that you do not see the big picture and you are not curious about the company. And as well, if there is so many opportunities around you, then you can easily pick up. So you can grow in some other positions or other roles and pick up some other challenges. So this is something which global or big organization is giving you. So you can be an expert, but you can decide to be kind of moving from one field to another, and it doesn't stop you to be curious what is happening around, as there is plenty of great materials, great knowledge around you, or great colleagues who can give you this knowledge. So I would disagree that you are only the puzzle. It's really depending on you. If you are wanted to be a puzzle or you wanted to be a part of something bigger. However, if I would say for the cons, yes, definitely there are some things which I do see. It's rather in terms of the sometimes slowness in taking the decision. If you are in the smaller company, most probably just simply go to your boss and everything is done, yeah? But in the corporations, sometimes you are having some numbers of the stakeholders, number of the network, aligning with all the people, or sometimes there is as well some processes which we need to follow. So this might be some cons, as this is not for everybody, because some people are saying, yeah, I need to do it faster. Yeah, I need to do something faster and so on. And sometimes it's not possible.
So the
So
pace.
this is something which outs the pace, I believe. But as well, this is a kind of, if you look from the scale, sometimes the space and all those, let's say, processes which we are having, which are the big companies are having, are very important. Just to give you the example, at Roche, we need to follow, and most probably not only at Roche, but all the health care ecosystem need to follow the regulation, for example, from HDA. There are some strict regulation. And if you are a developer, normally in the startup, what we are doing, we are just simply submitting your code instantly. Yeah. Here you cannot, because at the end we need to make sure that the code is validated, to make sure that the patient are not harmed. So there are some processes which is important for the bigger picture and making sure that yes, we will not do the wrong thing for our patient.
Yeah, I understand. You have to follow the rules to make it safer, simply.
Correct. But it doesn't mean that as well you do not have this. I'm saying that this is sometimes it's a kind of slowness and the piece. It's an issue. Like you mentioned that. So I mentioned to you that we are going into transformation at Roche, and for example, what we wanted to do and we are driving right now is movement to the smaller teams into product orientation or agile teams itself, where the small teams of the products will have the full empowerment, and there is no big decision tree who approved what, but the team who is working on some products is having full empowerment. Most probably it's the same like Magda had in the product team in Microsoft, but this is something which we are experimenting, and we are on the good way to implement the new approach here, and we see a lot of positive already.
Okay, so Magda, you've just been mentioned, so please tell us what's your view on cons and these challenges for working in corporation.
So I think Isa told most of them. Definitely the number of stakeholders and managing, you need to be very, very precise and focus what you want to achieve, because it's the number of communication canals are like really, really huge. So definitely this is something which is quite difficult. You need to learn how to do it to be very impactful in the company. But also the other thing which Isa mentioned about this stakeholders management and so on, and slowness. On one hand, everything you need to agree with all the stakeholders, but also impact is bigger. So you need to be just a little bit, prepared, take your time, definitely. So this is something that it's important. But as I mentioned, on one hand, it's low, but the impact is much broader, because I was responsible for a while for the products which were available worldwide. So definitely when you see that your products are available, offers are available in all the countries, and right now sometimes I'm connecting with people with different countries, and I was like, oh, I remember your name because you were managing this and this product. So I think this is great payoff for doing that. But I think when you think about the challenges of being in the organization which is big, sometimes as a leader, for me, sometimes it's challenging that I need to deliver a message that not necessarily I am 100% aligned with. And this is something that it's very difficult, because you are representing the company, and it's something that you need to remember. And sometimes you need to deliver a message that you don't understand 100% because of different reasons. And I have to say that my company usually are preparing their leaders for delivering message very well. So we know the background, why, and so on, so we can do it properly. But sometimes, because of different reasons, we have limited information about some things. So it's sometimes difficult. If you are managing your company, you have access to all information. You are making decisions yourself. If you're a big company, you don't know necessarily all the details and all the backgrounds of the decision, and you need to somehow deliver. So you definitely, this sometimes can be challenging, and you need to work how to do it properly that you believe, or be very transparent if you don't understand something. And sometimes you need to do some things that, as I mentioned, some big, very, very difficult decision that you need to make. It's not based on your, company. In your company, you are making those decisions, but sometimes they are done, you are not involved in making them. So I think this is something that is challenging for me.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I have to say that, as I said, in most the situation, even the most challenging, I got the best support. Yes, but I think this is not easy.
Okay, thank you. Alexandra, would you like to add something? Your
Sure.
cons
Yes.
of working?
So some really similar points around criticality and impact and pace and regulation. So from the banking and finance industry, we are super regulated, understandably, right? Our systems have to help the fight against global crime and money laundering. We're obviously number one in terms of cyber attack threats because we're perceived as having money and sensitive information. We have to have high availability. It's just not okay if a customer can't make a transaction or get money from the machine, right? So it's obviously it's very important that we have the right level of control. So that leads to a lot of processes and policies and things we need to follow and audits we need to comply with, etc. That can have an impact to pace of software delivery. Although we're demonstrating we can mitigate that through lots of small releases, fully automated, controls fully automated, so you can demonstrate at every step that we are fully in control. So that's one way of kind of somewhat alleviating that. The other thing is if you're a software developer and you want to just use that latest version of the open source library, that's not going to happen, right? It's going to be a bit longer until that's it's okay and it's cyber okay and over vulnerabilities and it's so things are a little bit slower and can be a little bit frustrating at times. But there are ways we're all constantly trying to improve our processes so that it's made just a bit easier and just a bit faster, but always keeping us safe, right, and our customers safe, which is so important. Yeah, and then again, I agree with Magda on how it can be very difficult sometimes to navigate getting that really important approval you need for what is really important and the right thing to do. Getting that right to be successful is a learning curve. But once you learn it and you have your network and you can get things done, and the impact you can have is huge because you've got these global systems and millions of customers.
Mm. And maybe this is as well the cons, but opportunity and big opportunity, because at the end you are meeting a lot of the people. So if you are really extending your network and challenging your thoughts, because sometimes it's not only what I am thinking, but what others are thinking. So there is a lot of, with this a little bit peace issue, there is as well some opportunity to learn more. So this is how I'm seeing.
Alexandra, so maybe next question will go also for you. What startups and SMEs can learn from corporations? What do you think they should learn? Because I believe you work with many startups or potential partners in your work. What do you see they should learn from you, from the process you are in?
Well, I think they need to appreciate and learn how much regulation and the reasons we have all of that regulation, and that can have an impact on how quickly we can do things and get stuff done. So the better they can appreciate that, the faster we can react and work together. And I think generally where corporations can learn from startups who have the imperative of when is the funding going to continue until, so they have to be agile. They're good at agile, so we can learn agile from them. Maybe the other way around, because of our size and scale, we have to be really good at delegating, right? And maybe people who are more used to having to do everything. If you can learn to delegate more, then you can really ruthlessly focus your time on where you can personally add the most value to your organization.
Okay, so delegation and processes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Magda, what do you think? What would you add here?
Yes, definitely attracting talents. There is a lot of really great talents in corporation. So I think this is something, and it's based also on building the mission, vision, communication of those. So this is something that definitely startups can learn from the corporation. Definitely excellence in many ways. We know many startups that are growing and they are reaching some point when they actually are not able to manage the business anymore. So this excellence processes, quality, validation, it's something that they should learn as on the same, they be agile, but be excellent in delivering and consistent. It's super important. So as Alexandra said, I think it's both way learning.
Mm-hmm. Isa, what do you see? Because I know you work with different startups, so what they should learn from you and what you can learn from them.
Yeah, this is something which I would like to say that it's not only one way, but we can both learn from each other. And at Roche, we are collaborating with many of the startups here in Poland, but as well globally. Here in Poland, well, like in Malaysia as well, but mostly in Poland.
Yeah, but your heart is in Poland.
Correct. It's like, no, it's a little bit sometimes challenging, to say, but yeah, I'm in Malaysia or I'm in Poland. But what I wanted to say, it's like for the startups, definitely those new frameworks, new ways of working, how to create for us in IT, the code itself, and going a little bit more even faster for the agile. This is something which we are learning for the startups, and the knowledge which I believe the startups can learn. This is I would say, for example, regulation. GDPR for majority of our companies, it's just a kind of piece of cake. It's very easy. And based on my experience, GDPR for the startup is like, oh my God, it's really pain, yeah? So we can pass the knowledge how we are dealing with that. Same to regulator, for example, in our case in Roche, working with FDA, it's not so easy for the startup to get the knowledge how to do it. For us, it's very easy. So this is something which the startup, by the collaboration with the startups, and the startups can learn, and as well we as big organization can learn. And here maybe I will share something. If somebody, and this is apologize for this, let's say PR part. If somebody is listening us from the startup, in November we'll have the Global Startup Day for Roche, and if somebody would like to get the recognition or kind of get the recognition for the healthcare solutions in women health or Alzheimer's disease, just submit your application to Roche, and maybe there will be some way for the collaborating together. So there is you can reach out to me for more details. So happy to help.
Wonderful. Isa, please tell us more, send us a link, maybe, because we have lots of femtech startup in our Strong Women in IT community. So definitely maybe they will be able to join or simply, have a chance to present what they are doing. So definitely send us more information, more details. We will love to share it and spread it via our social media. So ladies, now is the question I want to from the beginning ask you, but I needed to have the common view or common understanding. Is working for corporation for everyone? Because personally, I've never worked for corporation, as I mentioned before we went online, and I read lots of articles that someone left corporation, wanted to have his or her own business. He or she founded the company and later she go back to corporation. But of course, there are also successes. But I think that there is a profile, a human profile of a person that can achieve success in corporation. Magda, do you have some profile in your mind? Do you have such a set of skills that are needed to feel happy, in such a place?
I don't believe that there is a like specific profile, especially for many years I have heard about, that extroverts, and there was like long, more successful. By the way, still in the reports, a lot of execs are saying that, that introverts are not so much as successful. And actually it's completely not supported by any report. So introverts are the same successful in the big corporation, although there is so many connections with people needed. They are the same successful than extroverts, and I don't see any of personality that can be more successful than the others. And I think the diversity which we discussed, this is the key for the being successful like as a team. So definitely I don't believe in any specific personality or anything like this. I think what is important from the skills perspective, but I think those skills everyone can build. It's the growth mindset, learning, being patient, but this is not something that is connected with type of person. It's just the skills that you need to gain through to be successful, and I think you need to gain them to be successful anyway in startup as well. Be patient, growth mindset, learning, listening skills, and also prioritization. And I think prioritization is very important, because when you join the big global company, you will see very fast that there is like a lot of people who wants to reach out to you, or they send the communication and so on. And what is important for you to be successful, you need to know what you want to achieve, because all of those people have something that can be very valuable for you. All of them. There is no like, this is more important than this, but it's more about, I want to achieve this from this perspective. This person is critical for me to build the relationship, to understand what to achieve, and I want to build something together. So definitely these are the skills that are needed.
So knowing your goals and setting boundaries.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, I can imagine that everyone is asking you about something, and your time is limited. You have your own goals, and so you should be able to listen properly to find the KPI someone is having to cooperate.
Yes, and find the common goal as well. Listening very well the other person, find the common goal. It's something that, but as I said, it's also whenever it's in private life also important. Yes, finding the common goals, finding the common ground, it's super important.
So maybe I would add here, because I believe that Magda summarized it quite well. And I believe that there is no...
I listen to you, and I feel that you have to be really, on one hand, flexible to understand others' need, to understand others' goals, but on the other hand, you have to be perfectly shaped in the way where you want to end up this project, this this cooperation, etc.
And here I will not agree, because if you know very well where you end, that means that you are not listening to other people. So definitely, I think you never know when you end. You know where you want to go at the beginning, but you need to be very flexible in a way how you evaluate your goal, and because together you will definitely not go to the same place as you walk alone.
That's true, 100%. You're right. Isa, you started to present your point of view?
Yeah, I wanted to add to those things which Magda shared, because I believe that that's true, that I don't believe that there is a personality fitting to the corporation or fitting to the startups. I believe that the most important in our life is actually find the joy in the work, and as well in our private life. Yeah. So find the company or the environment which where you are having the passion, which giving you the empowerment, where you can grow and learn. And you can do it in the startups, in the big companies. It's really depending on you and what you would like to do. So the first thing it's finding this joy in the work, and you can do it everywhere in each of the areas which is around us. From the skills perspective, one thing which I might add, I think I mentioned a lot something about the curiosity. For me, curiosity, flexibility, as Magda said, and as well learning from mistake. So just making the mistake and learning from it, it's very important for as well at life. Yeah, it's not only in global corporations.
Yeah, absolutely. Alexandra, what's your point of view here? Do you see, or maybe there is no personality in your case? What do you think?
I think lots of personalities can thrive. I've worked with so many different personality types, cultural, ways of working, and they all work. And the more diverse the personality types, the better. I think you can be a big asset and you can be happier if you are a different personality to the others around you, right? And it's pretty important when you're thinking about hiring. Do I have enough, detail-oriented, focused introverts? Do I have enough more social, collaborative types? Do I have some big picture thinkers? All of those things are really important. Do I have someone who's calm in a storm, right? If you have a different, group of people, that can be a group at a management level, at a stakeholder level, at a pod, at a development team level, you want a mix of personalities. I think then teams are more engaged and happier and in their work too, as well as being more productive. There's been lots of studies around that.
So,
you do need to be
Alexandra,
patient. You need some patience. I think that's the only imperative.
yeah, I think that this is something I missed. So I'm definitely dynamic, and my patience sometimes is really limited. So, Alexandra, if you have a chance to give someone an advice that someone is maybe your mentee, and you are helping her or him in a corporation, what advice would you give when someone begins her career? To grow really fast and really high in the ladder in the corporation, what would you advise them?
I think there's two things that are most important. The relationship you'll have with the hiring manager, because they are ultimately very important in your success, to sponsor you, to help you develop, to coach you, to teach you, and also focus on the role that you're looking at. What actually is the content of this role? What am I going to learn from this role? You want to be in a role where you're going to be challenged and learning, right? I think if only two things, those are probably the most important when you're starting off, because then that will lead to opportunities down the line.
So you have to understand yourself, of course, to grow, because otherwise you won't be led by others the way they want to let you.
Maybe it's about being open to learning and new opportunities, growth mindset, right? That was mentioned. But also having an understanding of what kind of person you are, how you like to work, and do you feel a good connection with the potential team that you're interviewing with? That's important.
Magda, and how your advice would look like? What would you say to such a woman or a man when they started their career in?
I think something that I am sharing usually during the onboarding, listen first. And because it's a very complex environment, I have seen many people being in a trap of trying to do impact as soon as possible, and being not relevant and not understanding the whole culture and whole mission of the company. So I think because of the complexity, it's super important that in the moment of joining, you have your time and you need to spend this time on learning really carefully and listening. And the other thing, which is also important, I would say, when you know what you want to have as a next step in the career, it's super important to have mentor. And your mentor should be helping you in getting to the new place, but also be your sponsor. So I think having mentor, I had many fantastic mentors in my life. They helped me to grow. They helped me having someone who you can trust and you can talk through your, making decisions, your thoughts. It's super, super important.
Okay, Isa, did you also have a mentor? A mentor?
Yes, of course, various one, and have mentors and mentees. So I believe that this is super important, and especially having mentor of outside of your own bubble, let's call it. So I'm usually looking for somebody as a mentor who is totally in different area. So for example, if I'm in the business, why not to have a mentor from finance or some other places, or even outside, of course, the company, because this just simply broader the picture and broader your perspective. So it's one of the crucial things, and definitely the mentor, the network itself, and growing your network, and as well, if I'm looking for the for the for the organization like global one, then of course make sure that you are speaking up about the things which you would like to achieve, and not only to your manager but to many people, because then the magic things happen. If you keep it only for yourself or to one person, then it's a little bit challenging, to make this happen. But if you connect with others, sharing what you would like to do and what are your passion, then the magic things happen. One thing. One thing.
I just wanted to add how important it is, because there is a common mistake of women who are sometimes waiting too long to share what they said. I just wanted to say that what Isa said, it's super, really, really important.
Agree, totally agree. This is something which, and I grew up to that, because at the beginning, when I started my career, I was thinking that, well, doing the work in my background, and everybody is saying that, everybody see what I wanted to do in the future. It's not true. You need to tell to as many people as you know. I believe it is the same with the startups. Yeah, if you have some idea, you need to exchange the ideas with as many people as you can, because you can find somebody who can help you to drive it. This is the same with development and the things which we are doing in your company. Share it as many, do not afraid, share it, make it visible, and broaden your network. This is very important. Last thing, I mentioned about find the joy in the work. Without it, nothing happens. Yeah? So first, find this joy with the things which you are doing. I have the lucky to find it at Roche, so I'm kind of feeling that I will be maybe longer than Alexandra in the company, because I really believe that this is the environment which will fulfill my dreams, yeah, and I can help as well others to fulfill their dreams. So that's why this is the basic for everything. Rest, it's the small things which help you.
Just one of the last questions, because this is super interesting that you mentioned about mentors. But should these mentors be from the organization or should be from outside from the organization? How you look for them? Isa, how did you look for your mentors?
It depends what you want to grow and achieve. So I actually had the mentors from the startups. I have the mentors from the education center, business. I have the mentors from the from inside of the organization, and as well I have some professional coach. Yeah, so it's depending on the time of your career to look, or the time as well period of your life. Look for the things which might be the most valuable for you and for the time when you are in your career. And for me, the advice is look outside of your bubble. This is very important because sometimes people think, hey, I need to find a mentor in my team or a team which is nearby me. No, look really broad.
Great. Magda, so you look for mentors where?
Yeah, definitely. I have different mentors, and usually I have one or two mentors at the same time. And also, sometimes I have informal mentors. So they don't know that they are my mentors. Sometimes it's formal, sometimes it's not. But I think it's important to have at least one in the organization where you are, because this person, besides giving you the other perspective, it can be in the different line of business. Especially, it's more about mentor. It's someone who is also guiding you. So it needs to be the person having the skills and area of your interest that they help you to grow, but also they are your guide through the organizations and relationships also. So it needs to be the person who helps you to build the career, not only to grow, but build the career. This is at least my approach, to have at least one person who his experience with the company, knows how to grow. It's senior leadership or leadership in the specific area of growth that I want to achieve. But if you want to move to other organizations in the future, because we need to remember that you can be very successful in the organization, even with being in one position for many years. And I know experts who are in the same position for many years, but they are growing because they are gaining new experiences and they are experts. And this is a little bit different career than I had, and probably Isa and Alexandra, because we were changing the positions, we were growing as a leaders in different diverse organizations. But there are very, very successful people who are on the same position, but they are growing with the same and then they need different mentors, definitely. So it depends.
Of course. Alexandra, did you have mentors?
So I've had mostly lots of informal mentors over the years. And to Magda's point, people who don't necessarily know that they're my mentors. What I like is having a diverse group of people inside mostly, but some outside, with whom I can just talk. How are things going? How do you approach this kind of problem? I think having a large network of people who are different to you, doing different roles, they'll bring you perspective. And I think that's what's really important.
Super. Ladies, our time is almost finished. All my questions I wanted to ask you, I've asked them, but maybe I forgot about something. Maybe you'd like to add something connected with growing your career in corporation. Maybe you'd like to add, some hints, some observation, some lesson learned. That's the time for you. Magda, do you have something? Do you think about something that I missed right now?
Yes, one thing that I was just realizing right now when you were talking. So I think that it's nice to write down the things you want to achieve, because whenever I write down them, and then I watch my notes from the past, and I was like, oh, it happens. All the things that I wrote down that I want to achieve actually are happening somehow if you are able to articulate them. If you are able to articulate them, then it's much easier to achieve them. So this is one thing from my side.
Great. Isa?
So I would say definitely the career in corporation and the big companies is possible based on our examples. One thing which I believe we haven't talked about it, I would say that it's important to constantly ask yourself what value you are bringing, and what value it's bringing to your work, but what value is as well for your private life. This is the things which would be good to ask yourself for almost all the time, because it's driving the joy and driving the passion around you.
Wonderful. Alexandra, the stage is yours.
Sure. I just say, so we're talking a lot about how we can benefit from careers in corporations, et cetera, but also what I've found as I've grown older and taken on more responsibility and have more teams that now depend on me, I need to sponsor and support and encourage. the impact I can have on other people's careers and give back is also something that is quite powerful and gives me joy. To Isa's point of, it's important to find joy in your work. I really enjoy that, supporting other people as well in their careers, which you can do a very large scale, right, in big organizations.
Ladies, I am moved. I really want to thank you for sharing your experience, for sharing what you've said about working in corporation. I am almost convinced, but I love my company so much that I won't, change it. But if I started my career, definitely I would think about applying for position in corporation. So thank you so much for this discussion. Thank you for this talk. Now is time to go to our families to enjoy the evening. And next month we are going to talk about medtech and digital health solutions, how our strong women in IT are growing there and how they're developing their businesses. So thank you so much, Magda, Isa, Alexandra, for sharing your experience, and hope to meet you in person soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.